Alright, yesterday we got the news that Dillian Whyte would not be fighting on the June 7th show with Fabio Wardley and Justice Hooney. I have to say, it came as no real great surprise to me. Reading the statements, I did kind of giggle a bit. He was talking about inactivity and how that messed them up and this, that, and the other. It's like, why exactly were you inactive again? All right, I'll leave it there. But yeah, it was kind of funny reading that. But I'm not surprised. This is the second time on a Frank Warren show that Dillian Whyte has been advertised and will no longer be fighting. But Frank Warren gave a statement to Umar, but I think it was Umar anyway, at Box Nation. And he was basically saying in the article I was reading that Dillian Whyte essentially has a big fight lined up in August. Didn't specify when in August, but in August. And this has a lot of people theorising as to who it could be. Now, we all know that Anthony Joshua is rumoured to be signing a 2-fight deal with Riyadh Season. The two names for his comeback fight were Dillian Whyte and Jared Anderson, which is a little bit on the strange side, but okay, let's see. Now, we were hearing talk that AJ probably wouldn't be back until kind of September, October, more so November time. So that doesn't coincide with August. As far as I'm aware, in the footage we've seen of Anthony Joshua, he's still not able to, you think it's his right hand, he's still not able to throw punches with that. So August is not that far away. And I know for Dillian Whyte, he's so far gone at this stage, you probably wouldn't, well, saying that, you wouldn't know what way Anthony Joshua was going to look. But you would imagine it's not going to be him. You would imagine that AJ Dillian Whyte too, we can for now, I think we can put an X through that. Don't think we're going to get it. In the article I was reading, I think it was from The Sun, it mentioned Lawrence Okolie, which is an interesting one because Okolie made his Queensberry debut and heavyweight debut back in December. Looked very devastating in it. He was meant to fight on the April card, on the DAZN debut actually, back in April in Manchester against Riakporhe. Never did. Pulled out of that fight, and he's not made an effort to reschedule that Riakporhe fight for whatever reason. But in the immediate time, he has been mentioning Dillian Whyte like that. These two do have, I don't want to say beef, no, but they do have history. They certainly do. It was, I think, 2018, 2019, I think it was 2019 actually, when Lawrence Okolie was mentioning the fact that Dillian Whyte and him sparred and that Lawrence Okolie was getting the better of it, this, that, and the other. And then obviously there's that famous clip with IFL where Baby Ting actually confronts Lawrence Okolie, respectfully confronts him, but I'd say Lawrence Okolie had to go and clean his jocks after as soon as Baby Ting came, because you could be a world champion boxer, but that guy, man, John Fury, everyone, we all know I wouldn't cross Baby Ting for anything. And he basically said that you did well, and Lawrence Okolie was like, please, yeah, please, yes sir. That's what he's like. He was literally petrified when Baby Ting came up to him. But there is history there, and look, Frank is trying to push Okolie along. Okolie is number one ranked with the WBC. He's looking to get a world title shot. I think it's undeserved, that ranking, but he wants to get him in a big fight. And Okolie versus Dillian Whyte, it is a big-ish fight. It's not as big probably as AJ versus Dillian Whyte, but it's a reasonably big fight nonetheless. Would I watch it? Yeah. Would I have an interest in it? I definitely would. Would I give Dillian Whyte a prayer of winning? Not a hope. Honestly, Lawrence Okolie is... It's crazy really how he ever made cruiserweight when you see how big he is and how much he's weighing now. I know in the 260s he was carrying a little bit of timber, but he's still well in the 250s, you would imagine, in shape. So at cruiserweight he was probably drained, he didn't seem himself, he was holding on for dear life in every fight even when he didn't need to. And then he's put the weight on, he's coming into his own, he's a lot more aggressive, he's looking a lot better, and he is absolutely hilarious. Lawrence Okolie, the banter I would imagine he'd have at this press conference would be unrivaled. Why couldn't we have seen this with Okolie years ago? I wish he'd probably be a bigger star than he is. But him against Dillian Whyte now, I wouldn't give Dillian Whyte a prayer. I really wouldn't. Okolie with that big right hand, he'd probably take Dillian Whyte's head clean off his shoulders. Dillian Whyte, again, I'm not hearing anything of an injury or anything like that. For me, I reckon they're looking at Dillian Whyte on this show thinking, we could put you in there against John Doe, but you looked so shocking in your last two fights that we don't want to risk you losing and then making that Okolie fight irredeemable. Because if he lose, God forbid, like let's say he looks absolutely terrible against, if he fought, and say he looked terrible against Ebony Zatete again, hypothetically speaking, right? That's a nightmare of a sell to try and sell that fight. So I think that's what they're doing. They're trying to preserve Dillian Whyte so Lawrence Okolie can just, you're a piece of meat, we're going to tenderize you, and then we're going to put some of the sauce, as Lawrence Okolie calls himself, on you, and that's it. That's how I see it going. That's what I think they're going to do. I think they're just saving Dillian Whyte for Lawrence Okolie to just go and, well, basically beat him. That's essentially what I'm thinking here. So Dillian Whyte, Lawrence Okolie is what we're apparently going to get in August, or that's likely what we're hearing. Where does that leave Anthony Joshua then? Because that's a separate video in of itself. And I have heard rumours. Someone in the live I did last night was talking about names, which I will do a separate video on, because it's quite interesting, actually. It's quite interesting. But I will leave it there. People, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you could, smash the like button, hit subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. And until next time. Oh, and before I go, have a look there on screen. Big weekend of boxing this weekend on DAZN. Fabio Wardley, Justis Huni on Saturday, Jai Opetaia Sunday morning. Link will be in the description, the G-Man link to DAZN. I would much appreciate you go over there, give it a link, or give it a link, give it a click. The DAZN subscription is there, man. There is so much good stuff on DAZN, the global home of world boxing.